Hello mọi người.
Chào mừng mọi người quay trở lại kênh của Tũn nha. Nay mình sẽ tiếp tục một hành trình với tựa game Sherlock Holmes Crime and Punishment. Thì mình đã phá xong 4 vụ án rồi. Thì hôm nay sẽ đến vụ án thứ 5. Những clip mà mình làm ấy sẽ được up lên YouTube vào 8 giờ hàng ngày. Các bạn có thể đón xem và ủng hộ mình. Nếu các bạn thích kênh, các bạn có thể nhấn vào nút subscribe và cho mình một like cho video, cũng như là ấn vào nút chuông thông báo để các bạn có thể nhận được thông báo khi mình ra video mới nha. Và các bạn có thể ủng hộ donate mình qua các kênh donate mình để ở dưới góc trái của màn hình. Mình không chờ đợi lâu nữa, mình bắt đầu với vụ án thứ 5 thôi.
Holmes, for heaven's sake, whatever's going on?
Oh, hello, Watson. You're early. Did you kill all of your patients?
What? Holmes, where have all these wretched bees come from?
I increased the temperature of the room so as to prevent them from hibernating. I needed to take a sample of honey. But it worked, Watson. We will have honey all year round.
Ridiculous and
Sherlock Holmes
dangerous.
đang thử
They're
nghiệm
domestic bees, Apis mellifera, such industrious workers.
thử nghiệm ta đã
Anyway,
thành công.
Watson,
Và
I am sorry, but I must leave you. I'm in rather
Sherlock
a
Holmes nói
hurry.
là chúng ta có thể có mật ong ăn cả năm.
Yes, but
Quanh
nothing
năm.
as thrilling as this experiment. A theft of plants at the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew. I'm helping a minister who's an old friend of mine. You can join me if you like.
Well,
Vườn,
I'll
thượng,
admit
uyển,
that I'd
hàng,
far
giai.
rather accompany you than remain alone here with these workers of yours. Besides, you'll need a helping hand with the flowers you're intending to bring back.
Watson, however did you guess?
For the great Sherlock Holmes to bother with the theft of plants. Come on, admit that you're planning to spoil your little bees with some rare pollens.
Since when did I become so transparent? Let us go.
Đến Kew Garden. Rồi sẽ đến Kew Garden. Xem vụ án ngày hôm nay sẽ là cái gì?
Well, Holmes, here we are at the Royal Botanic Gardens. There's no doubt that this place is beautiful. But are you really intent on investigating the theft of the plants?
Yes,
Điều
of
tra một
course.
tin trộm một cái loài thực vật nào đó trong cái vườn Tường Uyển này.
Don't touch anything else, is that clear? Just go and get a bucket of fertilizer. And without turning it over this time. Good day to you, gentlemen. How may I help you? If you are here for a visit, please do come back on Sunday.
I am afraid that it cannot wait. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. We are investigating the theft of plants that took place here 5 days ago. A remarkable
Tôi đến đây
collection,
để
I
điều tra
believe.
một cái vụ trộm
So you're the one in charge, eh?
thực vật,
A
một cái
small
cây nào đó vào
favor
5
for a
ngày trước.
friend. Now, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
I am Martin Hamish. I am the Deputy Director of Kew Gardens. And that fellow yonder is Albert. He works here.
Phó giám đốc của cái vườn
I am
này.
delighted
Ông này
to
là phó
meet
giám
you.
đốc của cái vườn.
What can you tell us about the plants?
They were rare and exceptional plants. We presented them at our last exhibition. We haven't removed the stand yet. It is still in the large glass house. We only learned of their disappearance the evening after the exhibition, and nobody saw anything.
No doors were forced?
No, but I would imagine that for a thief it would be fairly easy to gain entry, for there are no guards here.
Well, if you don't mind, we will take a look. Now, you say that it is in the large glass house.
Yes, the one just behind me. Just a second, since Albert has nothing else to do. Albert, show these gentlemen where the exhibition was held.
How many people work here?
Only myself, but occasionally 2 students, Albert, whom you have met, and Miss White.
Đây là một cái vụ trộm một cái loại thực vật nào đó.
Here it is.
Thì
This is the place where the stolen plants were exhibited.
cái cây này thì được
Thank you.
để ở trong đây
Is there something the matter?
Yes,
và được
there
triển
is.
lãm và nó
All right, the
bị
plants
mất
were
sau khi
valuable
triển
and
lãm.
rare, but it seems to me that the tragedy that took place here
Rượu
only
ở
2
đây
days
thì,
ago has been entirely forgotten
Không có
already.
vẻ gì là bị
What
trộm nữa.
tragedy are you referring
Không,
to?
không vẻ gì là bị
My-
thác.
The director of Kew Gardens, Mr. Montague Dunn, he died here just 2 days ago.
Ông
We're very sorry.
giám đốc rồi
Not aware.
mất cách đây 2
The
ngày.
two of you were good friends?
He was my father.
Ông giám đốc là ba
Oh dear.
bố của
Our condolences.
anh này.
We should not be troubling
Này là
you.
học
Please
viên.
do excuse us for the intrusion.
You say that he died here, in the large glass house.
Holmes,
Yes, just here, near the door to the colonial collection. He suffered a heart attack, just like that, so suddenly. It was terrible.
Suy
Excuse
tim
me,
mà bị
gentlemen,
trụy tim,
but I cannot remain here.
nhồi máu cơ tim.
If you need me, I'll be in the reserve. That's the room next to the front of the large greenhouse.
Of course, we understand.
Mình nghĩ cái vụ mất cây này sẽ có liên quan gì đó đến vụ ông giám đốc của cái vườn thượng uyển này.
do not touch.
The plants were here. All of them was stolen.
Đây, danh sách.
Here is a list of the stolen plants.
Đây danh sách những cái cây bị trộm.
According to Albert, this is where his father, Montague Dunn, was found dead.
Có cái dấu vết này. Có dấu chân này.
These boot marks are fresh. It
Dấu chân này
appears
còn
as
mới.
though someone was dragging their feet.
Có cái kiểu là bị lết á, lê lết. Cái dấu chân là có một cái người này đang
The
lê
traces
lết.
are thinner in some places. The footprints reveal that someone staggered here. Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. Soil. It should have come from a flower pot. The soil on the side of this flower shelf is the same as that on the ground.
Cửa này
The door was smashed at shoulder
bị
height.
đánh, bị dùng một lực đấm vào bằng một lực khá là mạnh.
This door handle is new. It was recently changed.
Nên là cái nắm tay này mới được thay.
The ensconce was breached near the handle.
Cái ổ khóa này là gần.
The door was forced from the inside of the colonial collection room. The handle was changed afterwards.
I think we need to inspect the colonial collection room.
Còn gì để kiểm tra nữa không?
These trees, with their roots in water, must originate from Louisiana.
Ah, yes, the bayou. I remember our visit in the case of the Awakened.
This sign is broken. Something heavy was dropped upon it.
Bị vỡ có gì đó.
Blood.
Có dấu máu.
Someone fell violently against this sign, and they were injured in the clash. Most likely a head wound.
Đây chậu cây bị vỡ này.
This pot was broken fairly recently. A flower pot recently fell down from these shelves and was misplaced. All the clues around here are quite suspicious. I need my imagination to make sense of it all.
Hiểu rồi.
This reconstruction reveals a disturbing fact. Montague Dunn damaged the door of the Colonial Collection Room.
He was in a panic, or the door was locked. Was it an accident or a murder then, I
Đây
wonder?
là một vụ tai nạn hay là một vụ
I think we need to inspect
Ác
the
mạng.
Colonial Collection.
phải tìm hiểu cái
Very strange. Half of the
Colony.
colonial collection is absent. These plants come from all the territories of the British Empire.
cái thuộc địa của nước Anh. Cây này là đến từ những cái thuộc địa của Anh Quốc.
The smell is strong. It is a detergent.
Detergent là chất tẩy rửa. Một cái mảnh
This broken
vỡ
fragment
của
was
một
the
cái gì đấy.
result of a heavy blow. A fragment of marble, most likely
đây là bằng
chipped from a
cẩm thạch.
statue or sculpture.
Có thể là bằng là một cái của từ một cái bức tượng nào đấy.
This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system.
Lỗ thông gió.
These windows were perfectly cleaned. Part of
Tính
this
này được lau
greenhouse was
sạch.
emptied and thoroughly cleaned.
Đây, có một cái manh mối đầu tiên.
According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building.
Let's go to...
According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building.
Let's go to Scotland Yard.
Đến Scotland Yard. Từ từ để mình kiểm tra thêm tí nữa xem.
Water lily greenhouse.
Còn cái gì để kiểm tra ở đây không? Không thể nào bỏ sót manh mối nào được ở đây cả.
According Dry tropics.
Cái loại thực vật khô.
Dry These flower pots are beautiful. They are intended to be used for exhibition. The symbol is not
Cái biểu
from
tượng này
Kew
là
Garden.
thuộc vào cái Kew Garden này. Ok.
Dry tropics. There is a smell of burning.
Có gì đó đang được đốt ở đây ạ. Kiểm tra đây xem. À, có một cái
The symbol is not from Kew Garden.
biểu tượng này không phải là ở đây. Khúc về đây.
A broom handle was
Cái
half
chổi
burned.
bị gãy.
The remains of a picture frame.
Cái khung ảnh.
protective mask.
Có mặt nạ bảo vệ à?
Someone set it alight, but it did not burn.
Có người nào đã đốt nó, tiêu hủy nó nhưng mà nó không có bị tiêu hủy.
The plants were set alight fairly recently. Some have not completely burned.
Mẫu còn sót lại, chưa có bị thiêu rụi. Còn cái gì đó đây à?
The remain a broom.
Còn cái gì đó đây?
The remain
Nó mặt nạ này phải còn cái gì đó.
a broom. The plant.
Đây là đây.
Door handle. Why would anyone throw such a thing in
Cái
the
này cái
fire?
cửa, cái tay
The
nắm
door
cửa này.
handle to the colonial collection and that of the fireplace are made of the same material. Colonial collection. Palm house. Water lily greenhouse. Dry tropics. Ventilation system. Seed house. Nursery. Director's office, cloakroom and laboratory. Reserve. Direct. Collect. Nest.
Này còn cái gì đó nó chưa xong này.
Water lily greenhouse. Water lily.
Này nó còn một cái gì đó mình chưa kiểm tra được.
A map of Kew Gardens.
Rồi. Mình tìm hết tất cả các manh mối ở đây.
A ventilation system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings.
Dạng một cái máy bơm mà. Còn một cái gì đó đây gắn vào đây. Tại chắc mình chưa tìm thấy.
Locked. Locked.
Phá rồi, có nó phá
Seed
rồi.
house.
Đây là cái seed house. Watson hơi cản đường nha. Ồ, cái máu là cái máu hồi nãy mà đúng không?
Seed. Locked.
Ừ.
Locked. Nursery. Locked. Locked.
Mình nghĩ mình sẽ nên nói chuyện với chị ông này. Này cổ ra rồi. Chưa quan sát ông này cái đã. Mặt kính này. Dơ này, cổ áo dơ này. Chưa kết hôn. Người làm vườn. Đây nè thì ông làm vườn. Hỏi về cái
Albert told us about the tragic death of Mr. Dunn, the late director of Kew Gardens.
Tragic indeed. His heart attack was quite unexpected.
là một cái vụ nhà máu cơ tim.
Would you unlock the doors for us?
Do you expect to find the stolen plants there? I am sorry, but those rooms are private.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Có cái gì đó không đúng. Ông này đang là nghi phạm tình nghi số 1 của mình.
Locked.
Lóc hết rồi. Không có đường kia gì thôi.
A map.
Rằng ở đây.
A map.
Có một cái gì rồi mình sẽ kiếm đồ để mà gắn lên đây.
Seed.
Tạm thời là cứ về Scotland Yard trước đi. Cần phải kiểm tra cái này nè.
I asked Inspector Lestrade to take Montague Dunn's body to Scotland Yard.
It's ready for autopsy then.
Đây, đồ đạc này.
A beautiful feather pen of a good make.
Một cái viết khá là đẹp. Một cái bức thư. Bức thư tới Mr. Wayne ở công ty in ấn à. Cái poster của anh cho một cái cuộc triển lãm lớn tại Kew Garden rất là đẹp, nhưng mà tôi nghĩ nó không cần thiết để nêu tên tất cả các nhân viên. Chỉ cần nêu tên mình thôi. Mình thì mình nghĩ là mình có thêm một cái động cơ đấy. Club cả.
A membership card for the London Crest Club.
London Crest Club.
This watch is of great value.
Đây. Đâu? Đây, xuất phát từ cái lòng đốt kỹ chứ.
First of all, let us carry out an external examination. No redness, stings or bruises.
Không có dấu vết gì ở bàn tay cả.
The vessels and the pupil of the eye appear quite normal.
Mắt động tử thì vẫn bình thường.
The air from the lungs carries a faint floral aroma.
Rất là nhiều bụi, gọi là bụi
The
pháo
air
hoa.
from the lungs carries a faint floral aroma.
Trong phổi không ta?
There is an injury to the skull, most probably
Một cái chấn
caused
thương
by
ở
the
vùng đầu.
fall in the water lily greenhouse.
Khả năng là do đập, bị va đập vào cái thành của cái
Nothing suspicious here. There are no suspicious marks upon the chest.
cái bụng nước.
Let us finish our
Hold
external examination so that we can proceed with the autopsy. Now, let us examine the internal organs.
Khám nghiệm luôn cả nội tạng. Cái nội tạng này, phổi này.
The
Ui.
lungs are congested and edematous.
Ê,
The tissue on the inferior lobe
Một
of the
vùng bị
right
tổn thương
lung
này.
is damaged, most
Chất độc
probably caused by
bởi
toxins
một
from
loài
an
thực
unknown
vật nào đó
plant.
chưa biết.
The heart's blood vessels show no pathological signs.
Không có dấu hiệu gì là của
The heart tissue shows no
dấu
visible
hiệu của
pathological
việc bị nhồi máu
signs.
cơ tim. Là gan này.
The liver tissue is brown. There are no visible pathological signs. The liver,
Dạ dày này. Ồ, dạ dày cái màu nó
the
hơi kỳ
stomach
nha.
tissues,
À không, dạ dày cũng bình thường à.
there is a small amount of content. It appears that he breakfasted lightly,
Ít
only a short
đồ ở trong dạ
while
dày,
before his
có thể
death.
là buổi sáng của ông ta.
My suspicions have been substantiated. Montague Dunn, the director of Kew Gardens, died from
Ông
poisoning,
Dunn này
plant
khả năng bị
poisoning
tử vong
to be
là do
more
đầu độc.
exact.
You mean
Yes, it
Đây
is
là một vụ
murder.
án mạng.
we should inform Lestrade?
Yes, but do remember, Watson, that I discovered the murder. The challenge is mine.
The challenge, Holmes?
We need to locate that deadly plant. Such a perfect murder appeals to me.
Murder of any kind appeals to you. Is that all we need to do?
No, we also have the people working at Kew Gardens. Martin Hamish and the son of the victim, Albert Dunn.
And also Miss White, of whom we spoke with Mr. Hamish. Should we bring them all here for interrogation?
No. A few innocuous questions at Kew will suffice, as well as a discreet delve into their personal affairs. Yes, Watson, it is time now to open the doors.
Even those in the staff building? I suppose that is necessary.
We should also be concerned with the victim himself. After all, we don't know very much about Montague Dunn.
You're enjoying this already, aren't you?
More than a little.
Sherlock Holmes bảo là sẽ đi điều tra một mình. Là bị đầu độc. Mình là một cái bẫy và ông ta là người bị đầu độc. Mình phải tìm kiếm là cái loại cây nào là gây ra cái
Locked.
độc tố này. Extract không có ở đây thì nghĩ là mình về nhà. Về nhà là mình có cái phòng thí nghiệm ấy, mình để cho nó dễ. Tức là Holmes muốn là nói với Watson nói là phải nói với lại ông Lestrade, thanh tra Lestrade, nhưng mà cảnh sát trưởng với Lestrade, nhưng mà Holmes muốn là việc này muốn tự mình điều tra.
A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful.
Ồ,
My analysis table. It is useful for my...
đây. Tôi tìm cái tờ báo nó về cái chuyện đó.
That is not... That is not... That is not the one I...
Flying lobster,
That is not the one
con tôm hùm bay ạ, đại biểu.
That is...
Bloody Sunday. Nhưng mà bạn biết thì cái Bloody Sunday là như là một cái bài hát. Nhiều người nghe thì nghe xong rồi người ta lại đi tự tử.
That is...
Jack the Ripper.
That is...
Tìm hơi khó nha.
That is... That... That is... That is not...
Không tìm trong báo. Phải tìm cho một cái loại thực vật. Đây rồi. Economics and Technology, History, Medicine.
That is... That is...
Botany này. Đúng rồi này. Là cái loại thực vật mà có độc tố.
Here it is.
Này. Một vụ sát hại, mưu sát và cái cấp độ. Sợ cái này, cái này hơi khó nha.
That is not the...
Phải cái này, không phải cái này luôn, không phải cái này luôn.
That is not... That is... That...
Không, mình nghĩ cái này là thuộc về cái gì đó nó...
That is not...
Nó của...
That is not... That is not the one... That is not the one I...
Nó giống của,
That is
của
not...
Trung Quốc.
That is not...
Của Trung Quốc rồi.
That is not the one I need.
Những là báo à.
That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need.
Tìm khó nhỉ.
That is... That... 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 That is... That is... That is not...
Nó ạt hả?
That is not... That is... That is... That is... That...
Không phải rồi. Không, chắc chắn không phải là economic. Không phải là cái này.
That is not... That is not... That is... That... That...
Dạ, ngoại đấy.
That is... That is... That is
Là cây.
that is not the that is that is that is not that is not the one I need.
Ủa, vậy nó là cái gì?
That is that that is that that is not
Không phải rồi.
that that that
Chỉ
is
có
not
báo thôi à. Chỉ là báo thôi à.
that is that is not
Không phải.
that is not
Rồi từ từ nha. Divine.
that is not the
Không
one
phải
I
hả?
need. That that is
là cái nào ta?
that is not the that that
Ví
is
dụ phải tìm từng cái luôn á.
that that is not the one I need. That is not the one I need.
Báo trời. Khổ vậy ta.
That 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 is that is not that
Phải luôn rồi đó.
that is not
Khó vậy ta. Research.
that that that
Cái này mà
that is
là
not
đây rồi. Còn một cái trang bên kia nữa mà mình không biết à. Cái này là cái biểu tượng của tổ chức về thực vật.
here it is. The Divine Syndicate is not a supplier to Kew Gardens. Besides, there is no address here. That
Đây.
here it is.
Lá thư hả? Là cái lá thư và cái vụ kia nữa đúng không? Watson ơi, cái bà kia có cái gì đâu mà giờ.
Someone should take Toby for a walk. Have you found something interesting?
Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
Watson đam mê bà kia lắm.
Mr. Hamish, can you explain to us what
Anh có
happened
thể
to the colonial collection? It seems somewhat depleted.
But, most likely maintenance work, tidying up.
You're not sure then? But you're the deputy director.
Well, I am busy. I cannot be everywhere at once.
mối quan hệ với ngài Tũn.
As deputy director, how was your relationship with Montague Dunn?
To be honest with you, Mr. Holmes, it could have been better. You see, every Tuesday he would carry out his inspection of the gardens, but it was solely to make an impression, great pretense that he cared at all. He would give out absurd orders, ignoring anyone else's opinion. He would then disappear for the rest of the week. He was what some might call a man of action. I'd say rather he was overzealous and chaotic. So after all, it was no wonder, perhaps, that he ended up like that, if you take into consideration his kind of lifestyle.
You mentioned that Mr. Dunn led a particular lifestyle.
Well, it's no secret that he enjoyed, celebrating, shall we say? He was a member of the London Smart Set. He was famous for it. That
And
he had an eye for the ladies, to put it mildly, Mr. Holmes.
Ồ. Này có một cái thú vui.
Mr.
Nó khá
Hamish,
là-
can you tell us who holds the
gì
keys
đó?
to the locked greenhouses?
That would be Albert, Mr. Dunn's son. Yes, Albert keeps all the keys, and one can only imagine why.
What do you mean?
Well, he was never interested in Kew Gardens before, and now all of a sudden he is trying to act as if he owns the place. I think he wants to take over the management here. He'd do better to leave that to me. He has no experience. No, none at all.
Cái anh con trai là không, trước đó là không có hứng thú, nhưng mà tự nhiên lại dạo gần đây lại đến đây làm việc, và ông này ông nói là cậu ta thì không có bất cứ một cái kinh nghiệm gì về
Tell me, Mr. Hamish, do
thực
you
vật đó.
grow the more deadly variety of plant here?
You mean insectivorous? Yes, but nothing larger than that.
Are you aware of the Divine Syndicate?
The Divine what? Is this a joke?
No, I am quite serious.
What a ridiculous name. Anyway, I have never heard of this syndicate.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Có chứ.
Farmhouse.
Nói chuyện nè. Hỏi về Miss
Who is
White.
Miss Margaret White?
Ah, she is the young lady who studies with me. She visits here sometimes to help out with the greenhouses. In fact, she should be here today. She wanted to work at the seed house. That's the small greenhouse across from the large glass house.
Do you work here?
Do you work here?
Yes, but part-time only. For I'm also
Bác
studying
thời gian
botany
hả?
at the University of London.
You're
Tôi còn đang
following
học.
in your father's footsteps, then. That is commendable.
Well, even if botany is not my strongest suit, there are people who say that I could be a good manager.
We noticed that a part of the colonial collection has been cleared.
Ah, at the moment I'm just dealing with the storage room. I don't know much about the other rooms.
Hôm nay nó không biết về cái phòng đó. Mối quan hệ với cha của anh.
I imagine that your relationship with your father may have been a strained one.
Yes. I cannot say that he was a kind man, for he never listened to me at all.
Người ta không bao giờ
He
nghe
forced me to
nghe.
work here. Now, after his death, I've been pondering it over. Perhaps he wasn't so wrong about me after all. I have to follow his path.
Nghĩ sao rồi
I
tôi
have to
trước
manage
đó
Kew Gardens, and I can do it. I can be as good as any other
tôi
who
có thể
works
quản
here.
lý Kew Garden, và tôi có thể ông kia, ông bố thì không có tin tưởng vào.
Would you please tell
Anh
us
con trai
about
này.
Martin Hamish, the deputy director?
Well, I have to tell you that Mr. Hamish is not and has never been the deputy director of Kew Gardens.
Ừ.
My father would not have tolerated it.
Indeed. That is most interesting. He told us that he was.
Yes, because he believes that the management should be passed down to him now that my father is dead. But in actual fact, Mr. Hamish only has the honor of being the garden's longest-serving employee. In fact, if we are to think logically at all, it should be me who takes over the management of Kew Gardens.
Do you not have a good relationship with Mr. Hamish?
I suppose so. But we have very little in common. Mr. Hamish loves his plants and Kew Gardens, and I cannot say that I share his passion.
I see. And how was his relationship with your father?
Oh, he hated my father. It was obvious. He would be furious whenever my father boasted of Kew Gardens in the newspapers or at conferences. He was convinced that my father was stealing all of the credit for himself. But my father treated Mr. Hamish in the same way as he treated anyone. Dismissively, with indifference.
Nói chung là ông Hamish và ông Tũn một cái mối quan hệ nó không có được
Have you
tốt
ever
đẹp cho lắm.
heard of the Divine Syndicate?
No, I cannot say that I have.
Cái này nó không biết về cái Divine Syndicate.
Do you hold the keys to all of these locked doors?
Yes, you can have them. But I cannot give you the keys to the cloakroom. The employees' effects are private. I am sure you understand.
Ok. Kiểm tra anh này cái coi. Này. Một cái vết cắt chắc là do cạo râu. Đây, khá là sạch sẽ. Anh này chắc là không phải làm vườn. Hôm này anh này không có tình yêu với lại cây cỏ, nhưng mà lại muốn quản lý ở nơi đây. Còn trong khi ông kia là ông là có tình yêu với cây cỏ. Mình thêm dữ liệu nhưng mà chưa có kết nối được gì cả.
Locked. There was a bottle here. It
Một
left
cái chai gì đó ở
behind
đây.
the trace of the substance that pervaded the laboratory.
Gold dust. Good heavens. What's it doing here?
The
Vàng
gold
vụn
is
mà.
almost immune to chemical
Bụi vàng.
attacks, so it may be a valuable auxiliary for various experiments.
But why would
Một cái
anyone perform such experiments in a botanical garden?
Cái nghiệm nữa. Sử dụng bụi vàng.
Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. The bottle is no longer here, but it is possible to detect a faint scent. We need a good nose.
A phonograph used for voice
Một cái máy hát à?
remarkable.
Yes, this is
Có máy
quite
phát
a
thanh chứ.
modern laboratory. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything.
À, bỏ cho tôi để nghe này.
And it seems clear from these multiple experiments that plants to respond to their environment and have a form of consciousness. Margaret White, February 1895. Report number 245.
À, những cái hộp ghi âm về những cái đoạn mà
Martin Hamish's perception of plants. The notion of communication in the plant world has long been considered marginal, yet I remain convinced that some
những cái
plants
thí nghiệm á.
transmit chemical signals in the event of attack.
A study report by Martin Hamish.
Rồi sẽ có
This
cuộn
is a
băng nào đó.
table for experiments. It resembles my own.
Only this one is kept in good order, Holmes.
Sẽ có một cái cuộn băng nào đó để vào nghe được ấy.
Chemicals, a sufficient quantity for some serious experiments. a botany book. This student's book belongs to Albert.
Holmes, Albert Dunn didn't give us the key to this door.
It does not matter. We will open it.
Em mở khóa. Ồ. Rồi nha. Ok, cái ngoài này xong. Cái xong rồi.
Open. Martin Hamish's locker. A review on rare and exotic plants. Martin Hamish has written several pieces. Martin Hamish studied chemistry. Interesting.
Ông kia ông đang học hóa học. Một thư về niềm đam mê của ông Hamish. Một bức ảnh nè.
Father and I, Kew Gardens. Albert's locker. Young Albert, standing with a woman in front of London University. Specialist articles on shipyards and ship construction. Albert Dunn has a great passion for shipbuilding and the sea.
Ông con trai.
A rejection letter from the British Royal Naval College.
Một cái thư từ chối từ cái trường Hải quân Hoàng gia.
Miss White's locker. These jewels must be worth a small fortune. Apparently, Miss White is a
Có bằng
capable student.
thạc sĩ.
A vanity purse. It is of high quality.
Túi gì đấy. Một cái bức thư này. Thư từ gia đình.
A A draft of the letter that Miss White sent to her parents.
Thư để gửi về gia đình thôi, không có vấn đề gì hết. Ok. Chưa hết à? Chưa hết.
Miss White's...
Ambert to Miss White. Tôi biết là cái rắc rối, bạn có một cái khoản rắc rối về tài chính cực kỳ nghiêm trọng đối với bạn vào thời điểm hiện tại. Làm ơn cho tôi nói chung là ông cái thằng Amber này default muốn giúp cái bà Margaret này. Chuyện này nó dữ liệu này nó hơi rời rạc tiếp. Ok, mình qua những cái phòng khác thôi.
Such masks are generally worn when dealing with toxic chemicals. It appears as though the protective equipment is missing from here. Gloves, waterproof aprons, everything one might need for self-protection.
Do they grow dangerous plants here?
Ở đây họ đang trồng một cái loại cây gì nguy hiểm mà. Tôi không biết nữa, tôi phải đi kiểm tra thôi. Miss White.
Look, Holmes, this charming lady must be Miss White. She's entering the seed house.
Seed. Open.
Good day to you, miss. You have some very beautiful plants here.
Why, thank you, sir. And good day to you, too. But...
Oh, I do beg your pardon. My name is Dr. John Watson. This is my good friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I am honored to make your acquaintance, gentlemen. My name is Margaret White. Excuse me, but are you Sherlock Holmes, the great detective?
Yes, I am he.
What a pleasure to see you here at Kew Gardens. Are you working on a case?
Kiểm tra này cái. Sử dụng nước hoa đắt tiền. Xuất thân một cái gia đình nghèo khó.
Yes, a theft of plants that took place here a few days ago after their most recent exhibition.
Oh yes, of course. I quite forgot about that.
Oh, it's quite understandable that you might forget about the theft of the plants, miss, after the tragedy that took place here.
Yes. The director was a truly good man. It is such a terrible misfortune.
Would you happen to know why part of the colonial collection was cleared?
No, I have never been there.
Do you work here?
Part-time only. I am a biology student at the London University. I attend the same classes as the son of Mr. Montague Dunn. That is how I found my chance to work here for part of my thesis, you see. It is a great honor.
How well did you know Mr. Montague Dunn?
He was a master, a great leader. I saw him almost as a spiritual father.
He had an exceptional nature?
Oh yes, indeed. He was always so active and so optimistic, and very nice to me. Although he could behave harshly towards his son.
Why so?
He loved his son dearly and wanted the very best for him. It made him extremely demanding. Albert, who is naturally shy, suffered because of it.
The Divine Syndicate. Does that name mean anything to you, by any chance?
Not at all. But it is a very pretty name.
Most of the doors in Kew Gardens are locked. Do you have a key to this room?
Oh, yes. Albert gave me a set of duplicate keys. He agreed I might carry out my studies without disturbing him. It is only temporary.
Thank you, miss. None of the 3 people who work at Kew Gardens know why half of the colonial collection was cleared. So, someone is lying. It is obvious. Materials for... These leather gloves are new and of good quality. They do not appear to have been used. This place serves as Albert's office. A book about ships. Nothing at all to do with plants.
Kew Gardens is such an exciting place. Wouldn't you agree?
Nursery. Locked. The seeds of plant species are stored here.
What should we do next, Holmes?
These young plants must be delicate if they are kept in the nursery. A thesis written by Martin Hamish. a glasses case. It is empty. This area serves as Martin Hamish's office. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. A master's degree diploma. It belongs to Martin Hamish. An award presented to Martin Hamish for Best Grower of the Year. Locked. Come on, Toby. We have some work for you to do. Let us go to Kew Gardens. Let us take Toby. Search, Toby. Search.
Sorry mọi người nha, nãy có một ít trục trặc về âm thanh đấy, tức là khoảng đâu đấy 50 phút gì đấy, để các bạn không nghe thấy giọng của mình. Câu chuyện này, giờ mình phải nhờ Toby để tìm ra cái...
Congratulations, Toby. Now let us see what you have found.
Cái manh mối tiếp theo này, cái lọ bị mất nhẹ, cái lọ bị vứt, bị chôn
This
ở
is
đây.
the bottle that was used in the laboratory. There is still some liquid remaining in the bottle, with gold flakes, a tiny caterpillar. Not surprising to see one in a garden, but at the bottom of a bottle.
Theo thì thẩm tra tìm hiểu tiếp, hỏi tiếp mấy người này nữa.
What is your opinion of Albert as a student of botany?
Useless. I often tell him so, and I can only give him cleaning tasks. Botany is not his life's work, and his father well knew it. He was furious about it.
He was?
Oh yes. He forced his son to work here, and he never missed an opportunity to criticize him publicly.
Are you able to elaborate on that?
Well, for example, with our last exhibition here, Mr. Dunn had Albert make a presentation speech. But then, while the lad was speaking, Mr. Dunn interrupted him, asking him difficult questions, making him look like a failure. It was with the intention of making a fool of him, Mr. Holmes.
That must have been terribly humiliating.
Yes, he was crushed, and he had to leave. Everybody was making fun of poor Albert. That is, except for Miss Margaret White, who is such a nice lady and who always takes pity on Albert.
Margaret White thì có một cái
You mentioned a Miss White. Would you tell us more about her?
She is a student who works here part-time. She is quite charming indeed. She possesses a great talent for botany. You should take a look at some of her experiments that she carried out in the laboratory. Ah, if only she were not so naive.
Why naive?
The way she used to flutter around Mr. Montague Dunn. And why, he couldn't help but be flattered by all her attention. How could an intelligent woman such as Miss White not see through his game? I can only scratch my head and wonder.
Mr. Hamish, was someone from your family connected with Kew Gardens?
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
Đâu rồi? Cái bức hình đúng không?
I do not think so. This photograph of you and your father at Kew Gardens suggests the opposite.
But you have no right to.
Do tell us more about your father.
He was, indeed, the greatest botanist of his time in the British Empire. He worked together with Montague Dunn until the end of his life. He brought me in at the age of 12.
Did he get on well with Mr. Dunn?
No, I couldn't say that. They expanded Kew Gardens together, that was all. And it was all my father's work, for Dunn always lived the high life.
So Mr. Dunn was not helping your father?
Oh, yes, he provided the financial support. And as far as he was concerned, that fulfilled his role. But the worst of it was, he declared himself as the master of Kew Gardens. Fame meant nothing to my father. So it was easy for Mr. Dunn to take all the credit.
Hiểu rồi. Tức là
Thank you, Mr.
ba
Hamish.
của
We shall continue our investigation.
ông Hamish này với lại ông Dun ấy, người bị sát hại ấy, thì là cùng nhau xây dựng lên chỗ này, nhưng mà chủ yếu là công việc ở đây á là do ba của ông Hamish này làm. Còn ông Dun á thì công việc của ông thì coi như là ông sẽ gom những cái nguồn tiền, nguồn quỹ để mà phát triển được cái vườn thượng uyển này. Nhưng mà ông Dun á, ổng lại nhận công của ổng là cái người mà chủ yếu xây dựng lên cái vườn thượng uyển này. Đấy là hai người này có một cái ít bất đồng. Còn bất đồng là ông Dun thì ông thích quyền lực hơn, ông thích cái gì nó hào nhoáng, ông thích cái gì đó nó thuộc về ổng hơn, tức là ổng dành hết tất cả các công lao về ổng.
I perceive that you are passionate about the Royal Navy.
Passionate? No, not really. I like ships, that is all.
Are you quite sure? You do not seem to be so interested in plants.
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. It has never been about anything else.
And yet I know that the Royal Naval College rejected your application.
Ah, you truly are as clever as they say. Yes, that's correct. And in fact, my father was strongly against the idea. He did his best to ruin my plans, although I almost did succeed. But my dreams were shattered, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Cô Margaret qua cái gì là không có động cơ để mà gây án trong công việc.
Poor Mr. Mon.
Xong rồi đấy. Inspect hết rồi đúng không? Ok. Rồi lúc ghép thông tin lại với nhau này. Động cơ của Albert là có này. Ông này cũng có động cơ nè. Giờ mình về nhà mình phân tích cái chất kia thôi. Mình phải về nhà mình phân tích cái chất kia thôi.
Let us determine just what we have found here. Let us pour liquid from the bottle into a test tube to perform an analysis. This is the bottle that we found hidden at Kew Gardens. Let us use a pipette to take a sample of the liquid and fill a test tube. A colorless, water-based liquid.
Với chất không màu.
Quite a strong floral aroma.
Mùi phấn hoa khá là đậm.
Holmes? What are you doing?
It has a bitter taste.
What if it's poisonous?
Did you ever see poison stored in enormous jars like that? Anyway, there is a doctor nearby.
So, what do you think it is?
It is some kind of organic compound. Let us vaporize the liquid and see what happens.
Có một cái trắng này.
Small colorless crystals. Colorless, tiny crystals that are soluble in water with a floral smell and a bitter taste. Watson, could you pass me that small bottle, please?
Of course. Here you are. Holmes, do you know what it is?
Wagner's reagent. There was a label on the bottle that you passed to me.
No, Holmes, I meant the bottle that we found.
Let me add the reagent and see if there is any sediment, and then I shall tell you. I need to take a I need to...
Nè, cái tính axit à? Đó là quy tím đúng không?
Just as I suspected. This liquid is of organic origin. It contains some alkaloid. Most likely it is unstable, and that is why there is a quantity of gold dust to prevent contamination. This mixture is probably a fertilizer. Someone was carrying out unusual experiments in the garden's laboratory. My archive. I can always consult with it.
Đi đến nói chuyện. Chưa đủ bằng chứng, cái bằng chứng nó đang rời rạc quá. Tiếp tục thôi.
Locked. Newspapers discussing Kew Gardens.
New Land, một giống cây giống được mới. chưa có gì đó rõ ràng. Rượu à?
Champagne. Montague Dunn had good taste.
Này có một cái
French wine. A remarkable vintage.
nó là cái gì ta? Cái gu thưởng thức rượu khá là tốt. Đây, tấm hình của hai người. Lại mã két à? À rồi, hiểu rồi, hiểu. À rồi. Hiểu. Hai này. Qua đây 2 này. Qua đây 3 này. Qua đây 3 này. Bốn này. Qua đây 4 đúng không? À, rồi sai rồi. Năm này. À rồi, ok hiểu. Ba này. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bên kia 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nữa là ở xong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Để xem ông kia có gì trong đây. Một bức thư. Lâu à. À, ông này trả tiền để bảo vệ. Ông này tứ thư luật sư này. Divine Syndicate nè. 1889 nè. June 1889 nè. Plan hả?
I suggest that we don't tell Miss Margaret White about this document.
Ồ. Ồ. bộ đồ bảo hộ ở đây.
A photograph.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Chắc là mình phải về nhà mình tìm hiểu xem năm 1889 có vấn đề gì xảy ra rồi. Đây. Scandal of Divine Syndicate nè. Oh.
Here it is. And here is the Divine Syndicate's address. Perfect. It is time to find out what they have against Montague Dunn.
This place is beautiful, Holmes. Its atmosphere is remarkably soothing.
Let us find someone who could help us.
Nhà đẹp dữ ra. Guru.
Good day to you, sir. My name is Sherlock.
I am exalting the sun. A while can you wait? From the trace of elements and moreover from the quality of the ambient geotropism it depends. Therefore, please, mind my gravitropism. Its balance, do not disturb.
Disturbed is most definitely the word.
There. Completed is the symbiosis. Welcomed you are. To introduce myself I shall. I am the Green Grand Mystic.
The Green Grand Mystic himself.
This is me. Who am I speaking to?
We are two gentlemen who are extremely interested in the vegetation philosophy that is advocated by this establishment.
Listening to you, I am.
Tattoo, chắc chắn có tattoo.
We should like to take a look around, to immerse ourselves in the wisdom that emanates from here.
It is a school of anastomosis, the divine scholastic syndicate for vegetation veneration and meditation. You may say,
Cái
the
khu
divine syndicate
cho người ăn chay, thực
to be
dưỡng,
eukaryotic. Only true devotees,
điều trị
those
liệu.
whose hearts are ready to spermatophize in sharing of knowledge, are permitted to physically enter our vegetable kingdom and its wisdom. And to be permitted, you must earn it. Yes.
We visited Kew Gardens, and we found your symbols on their flower pots.
Coincidence, I am thinking. They would scavenge our refuse. It would not surprise me.
It was merely an observation. Green Grand Mystic, we are ready to become devotees and gain access to your temple.
What is the name of our Lord, our God King?
Our God King's name is Trewan, Green Grand Mystic.
Oh la, good, good, I like you.
Here is the holy key to the wisdom place. Holy donation can you make whenever you so wish.
Thank you so much.
I pray you to taste our fertilizer substance. From the burdens of life it helps to free.
But of course.
Raw sap, it is called. It is near the entrance.
Well, we will leave you to your meditation.
Đây.
A fragment of a flower pot. A fragment of a flower pot. Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. The Kew Gardens symbol.
Praise the grand tree, praise it!
This must be Triwan, the Divine Syndicate's god. This
Lại mở khóa hả?
These instruments are used for smoking opium. A vast amount of opium.
Nhiều lọ thế này.
This substance is an alkaloid, the same as in the bottle we found in the bushes at Kew Gardens. This cabinet is full of chemicals. They are the same as the ones we found in the laboratory at Kew Gardens. That would be enough to perform the most difficult of chemical experiments. caterpillars. They are raised as food for certain plants. Let's take them. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest. A tropical. A tropical. A tropical. A tropical.
Cái này nè, khả năng cao.
A tropical. A tropical.
Không phải luôn hả?
A tropical.
Tropical plant. Đây là cây nhiệt đới.
These three plants are identical to the ones shown at the exhibition. I shall take them. Perfect, Watson. We can begin our experiment. That should be the raw sap that the Green Grand Mystic spoke of. It is rather delicious, and of an excellent quality.
My word, Holmes. Their sap is like a form of cocaine.
Thuốc phiện ha. Đấy, biểu. Chắc mình phải về nhà đúng không? Rồi, nói chuyện sắp được khác.
I imagine that one of these plants would be capable of releasing a toxic vapor. I need to find out exactly how it could be done. I shall begin now. Watson, if you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening, then I'd recommend that you put on the gas mask. No reaction. It appears to have fallen inactive. My word! It shot a spike at me after I stabbed it with a pin. I imagined that its reaction would be ferocious if I increased the strength of my attack. My... This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. I find the behavior of predators utterly fascinating. How interesting. What a strong and effective defensive mechanism. It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more. I am interested in what might occur if the prickly plant should shoot at it. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. It closed again. I believe I saw a small... I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more. I am interested in what might occur if the prickly plant should shoot at it. It appears to have fallen inactive after being...
Thì mình sao ta?
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. It closed again. I wonder what secrets this... I am interested in what my...
Mình xong chưa? À, phải để nó mở ra đã đúng không? Tôi mới cầm lên.
It appears to... I wonder what... I am interested...
Muốn là sao ta?
This is a strange...
À, cái chọt. À, hiểu rồi, hiểu rồi. Đớt vô này. Đó, xin mở miệng ra.
It appears...
Rồi mình nghiên cứu này.
This is a strange... A carnivorous plant. A prickly plant.
Có lấy được gì nữa không?
It closed again. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. I am interested in what might occur.
Ồ là sao ta? Chế vô nè. Cho nó mở ra đúng không? Bây giờ ghim vô hả?
It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more. I am interested in what might occur if the prickly plant should shoot at it.
À,
No reaction.
à hiểu, tức là mình để đừng để con kia nó đụng vô. Đó, mình phải bỏ sâu vào đây này.
This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillars. This plant... It closed again. I wonder what's... I am in... This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillar.
À, hiểu. Bỏ ở đây nè.
This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillars. This plant.
Ủa, mình đợi chỗ hai cái này chứ đúng không?
This plant. This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillars. No reaction.
Dễ này, cái nó mở ra này. Không để cái này vô nè.
This plant. It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secret. I am interested in what might occur if the prickly plant should shoot at it. This plant, it appears. This plant. This. It closed again. I wonder. I am interested.
Là sao ta? Khó hiểu vậy ta. Khó hiểu vậy ta. Mình nghiên cứu rồi mà. Mở ra nè, đúng không?
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid.
Oh.
Toxic gas with spores. Extraordinary.
Hiểu rồi.
The plants would be capable of killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
Let us take our caterpillars to the colonial collection room. We may see things more clearly there.
It is too early, Watson. Our suspects will be there. Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions.
Thì bây giờ mình thấy con bé White nó có cái gì đó nha. Giờ tự nhiên có động cơ à. Bây giờ phải đi tới lại Kew Garden để nói chuyện tiếp vậy.
Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him, and we went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly, I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation. Your father's death does seem highly suspicious. What were your movements here on that day?
Suspicious? Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of something, or Lear Pontus, or... No, wait. Ah, these Latin names. And I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes. He came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit. There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Then about 10 minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
And Mr. Hamish and Miss White, what were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. Then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room, and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh my God.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon. Ventilate. What? Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
Thời gian
And
mà
that
tử
was the
vong.
last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house.
I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
But you say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
Thank you, miss.
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
Ô, có bức tượng.
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking, and likely already half asphyxiated, Montague Dunn started back and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiment on the ventilation system.
Ok. Rồi. Giờ mình phải cái máy thông gió. Máy thông gió là có người sẽ bỏ có con gì đó vô cái máy thông gió à. Con bỏ con gì đó vô máy thông gió, và tại vì đã có người nhìn thấy thì khả năng là ok.
First of all, I need to visit the colonial collection room to see how those caterpillars dropped onto the deadly plants.
Ồ, có gì phòng có coi nó bỏ bằng cách nào hả? Ồ, không rồi. Ồ, cái cửa sổ nè.
From here, we are unable to see the interior of the colonial collection room.
Một manh mối nữa. Sắp. Hôm nay mình chưa đi bao giờ luôn ấy. Có gì đặc biệt không?
The caterpillars could only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall.
All right, Holmes.
The power is on. The engine has started. The ventilation system is working.
Oh.
This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system.
Hành lang này ở đâu trời? Đường ống dẫn ngay xuống đó đó. Hiểu rồi.
Ventilation system. Seed house. Nursery. Colonial collection. We can see the interior of the colonial collection room from this window. Excellent. This ventilation fan is working. Let us see if I can activate the other one.
Cái còn lại bên kia.
Perfect. Now I just need to find Watson to check the result.
It worked perfectly, Holmes. Bravo. Now, if you could just help me to get rid of these caterpillars.
Perfect. Now we know how the murder of Montague Dunn was carried out, by activating both Albert's and Mr. Hamish's fans.
But only from Mr. Hamish's workplace would it be possible to see when Montague Dunn entered the colonial collection room.
Vẫn chưa xong. Mình chưa tìm được cái thằng này có còn bánh mó. Tìm bánh mó thằng này khá là quan trọng ấy. Để tìm ra được bánh mó của thằng này thì mình mới mới đi vào được bên kia, mới xử lý được vụ án này.
Do you have friends at Kew Gardens?
None. Not worthy there.
Nevertheless, we have seen Kew Gardens flower pots in your yard. How could they happen to be there?
What? Our sacred place you permitted yourself to search? Sacrilege.
No, really now. There was a theft of plants at Kew Gardens a matter of days ago, and we believe the pots we found here may be connected with it. Please tell us, were you involved?
No. Those plants were ours. They had stolen them from us.
How so?
Their director, Dump, I believe.
Done.
Yes, that's what I said. He borrowed from us 3 of our sisters for the exhibition at his greenfly-infested gardens. But he never gave them back to us. Excuses and imbecility. So we went in and saved them.
I see. So, if you stole those rare plants from them, then it means... Ah, I get it. Bravo, Holmes. I think the case is solved.
No, we did not steal. We saved. Well, as a matter of fact, we were unable to find our 3 plants.
I beg your pardon. And yet, you took all of the exotic plants from the stand.
They had disappeared. It was the least we could do. They stole our sisters, and so we stole theirs.
Well, we will leave you to your meditation.
Let's go to Scotland Yard.
Locked. Inspector, I believe that Martin Hamish is guilty of the murder of Montague Dunn.
Aha! I knew it. I'll send the lads around to arrest him.
Very good. I shall wait to hear from you.
Không phải ông đó đâu. Mình nghĩ là không phải ông đó. Có một cái gì đó, có một cái nút thắt nào đó chưa được xử lý.
Inspector, I came here as quickly as I could.
Martin Hamish is in the large glass house. There's no need to hurry.
Holmes, my God!
Yes, we found him like that.
Our messing around with the ventilation system didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Hamish realized that we knew.
Inspector, could you arrange the body, please? I should like to examine it. The mark around the neck is very visible. He died instantly.
Holmes, his left shoe is unique. This anomaly is often a characteristic of...
A club foot. Bravo, Watson. That is the key element of this case. The marker...
Hối hận hả? Cuộc sống như là sống ở trong địa ngục vậy. Ông Tũn không Tũn xứng đáng phải chết, nhưng mà tôi không thể tha thứ cho tôi vì lỗi lầm vì tôi đã sát hại ông ta. Tôi không, ông này không làm một mình. Chung là một cái lá thư thú tội.
Something about this rings very oddly.
Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Why? Because of Mr. Hamish's club foot. Oh, I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross. I should have noticed it.
But, Mr. Holmes, I can't see why.
No, I don't suppose you do. You must recall that Mr. Dunn was locked inside the Colonial Collection Room by the murderer. If it was Mr. Hamish, he would have had to run up to his workplace to trigger the fan situated above it, taking into consideration the condition of his foot.
Well, it is still possible.
Perhaps, but it is rather strange that such a person as Mr. Hamish decided to base his plan on the speed of his gait.
You mean to say that somebody helped him?
So the suicide is questionable?
Correct. Mr. Hamish accuses only himself in his letter, and so the investigation stops.
Possibly an accomplice, then? That idea had not occurred to me, Mr. Holmes.
I have another idea, Inspector. Thanks to the testimony that we have collected, we are able to rebuild the events as they took place that day.
With a timeline, such as we did in the Jack the Ripper case.
Precisely.
The map at the entrance of Kew Gardens should help us with our timeline.
Let us analyze the facts and statements so that we may recreate the events of that morning.
Nè, ông này và gặp người ta, gặp đối tác này. Giờ 9 giờ rưỡi này. Sau 20 phút thì 20 phút thì ra đây. Hai Marit, ông Hamish này với cô White này gặp nhau ở 10 giờ này. Đúng không? Và cô ta đã tới 10 giờ 40 này. Và ba người này gặp nhau là ở làm sao ta? Ba người này phải gặp nhau lúc 9 rưỡi mới đúng. Và cái ông này thì ổng về rồi này 9:40 đúng không? Hôm nay ở đây 9:50 là đúng này. Từ đó hai người này gặp nhau 10 giờ đúng rồi này. Mười giờ 30 là hôm này bị dính. 10 giờ 10 hay 10 giờ 10. Không. 10 giờ 10 này. Đúng rồi. Này đúng luôn nè. Ba người này lúc mấy giờ nhỉ? Ba người này gặp nhau khi mà ông này đi nè. Đấy, nó là vậy đúng không? Ô. Ông này trở về cái này lúc mấy giờ ta? Ông này trở về không, bye. Thiếu có dữ kiện chỗ này. Này phải ở đây mới đúng. Đúng rồi. Hai người này gặp nhau thế nè. Như vậy thì sao? Câu chuyện nó ok chưa? Gặp nhau ở đây nè. Ông này qua đây gặp ông này. Ông đi qua đây đây. Đi xuống đây. Ông này đi qua đây lại gặp ông này. Này. Qua đây phòng này. Đây đi.
Let us summarize. Montague Dunn was poisoned inside the Colonial Collection Room. He forced open the door, which means that someone locked him inside there at 10:20. Martin Hamish was last seen at 10:10. This means that he has approximately 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room. Given that he was club-footed, it is doubtful. Albert also has 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room, which is quite enough time. Miss White was last seen at 10 o'clock, which means that she had approximately 20 minutes to lock the door. More than enough time. Perfect, Watson. Now, let us ascertain who assisted Martin Hamish in killing Montague Dunn.
Đấy, chỉ có con này là đủ thôi à. Cô ta là gì? Cô này là một người phụ nữ nguy hiểm. Cô ta quyến rũ con trai của ông Tũn và Albert, và sau đó là đẩy Hamish đến với chuyện là tự tử. Con này có được, còn cái này là con này mình bắt cô ta về chịu tội nè. Còn cái này là cô qua thì có dính một khoản nợ, và nói chung là có mối quan hệ với ông Tũn. Cô ta sát hại ông Tũn và Hamish thì cố gắng cứu cô ta. Tôi không nghĩ được cô gái này. Có thể là ông kia ổng quá đáng thiệt, nhưng mà cô này ổng có làm gì này không đúng. Con này phải chịu tội.
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
It is obvious, Watson. Just use your brain.
I am using it. I do use it.
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the suicide of her accomplice, there is one final trace remaining: the deadly plants of the Divine Syndicate. She will be there.
Very good. Shall we go?
Just one moment. Now listen to me, Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal yourself behind her, quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me. But she is a bold one, and so we must be cautious.
All right. You can count on me, Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was expecting you.
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
You were wrong, Mr. Holmes.
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
It is difficult to care about someone who is capable of pushing a man to his suicide. It is over, Miss White. The police will be here any minute.
Over, perhaps. One moment you were here, and the next, you were on the other side.
The other side? No! Stop! I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
Stop this foolishness. You cannot truly want to die.
No, it's too late.
Ô,
This is
mình có làm lại được không? Chưa kịp làm gì hết mà. Mình có thể nào làm lại được không? Mình có thể nào làm lại khúc đó được không? Chứ mình thấy dấu mình chưa kịp ấn luôn ấy.
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
Sao chắc chắn là cô ấy
It
xe
is
đấy.
obvious, Watson. Just use your brain.
I am using it. I do use it.
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the suicide of her accomplice, there is one final trace remaining: the deadly plants of the Divine Syndicate. She will be there.
Very good. Shall we go?
Just one moment. Now listen to me, Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal yourself behind her, quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me. But she is a bold one, and so we must be cautious.
All right. You can count on me, Holmes.
Trời ơi, còn lại cô quay.
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was expecting you.
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
You were wrong, Mr. Holmes.
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
It is difficult to care about someone who is capable of pushing a man to his suicide. It is over, Miss White. The police will be here any minute.
Over, perhaps. One moment you were here, and the next, you were on the other side.
The other side? No! Stop!
Diễn lại.
I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
Stop this foolishness. You cannot truly want to die.
No, it's too late.
Well done, Watson. She was not faking.
Miss White, you have no right to take your own life.
Dr. Watson? Did you just save me? Or worse?
Ok. Thế là mình đã xong vụ án xong vụ án thứ 5 rồi mọi người ạ. Sympathizing, có sự đồng cảm. A half moon walk.
Where are you going?
Ok mọi người, thế là mình đã hoàn thành xong được vụ án thứ 5 rồi. Tập hôm nay thì mình kết thúc ở đây thôi. Rất cảm ơn mọi người đã theo dõi video của mình. Nếu mọi người thích video của mình, mọi người có thể ấn like, subscribe kênh cũng như là ấn nút chuông thông báo để mọi người biết khi nào mình ra video mới nha. Mọi người cũng thể donate mình qua các kênh donate mình để dưới góc trái của màn hình. Ok, hẹn gặp mọi người vào ngày mai nha. Chào tạm biệt mọi người. Bye bye.